In progress.
Good morning, dear Dharma friends. Jim, could we have an utterance to see if I can hear? Oh, wait a minute. I can't hear this way, that's for sure.
Okay, when you're ready.
Now I might be able to hear.
Testing. 1, 2, 3.
Whoa, that's very clear. Easy. Hooray.
Okay.
Do not touch any buttons, Robert. Well, dear friends, it is Wednesday, the 18th of August of the year 2021, according to one calendar. Here we are. The sun appeared in the east a little while ago. It's daytime here. Hello to those of you that are joining us on Facebook and YouTube. I think I can make things a little better here on your world. There we go. So, I'm Robert Beatty. This is a broadcast of the Portland Insight Meditation Community. We are so far the survivors of COVID-19, which is stalking the world again, or still. So, this is a poem I dedicate to the sense of despair that comes to some of us around the world, about the world. Wendell Berry again. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake at night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be. I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world, and I am free. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake at night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time I rest in the grace of the world, and I am free. I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time I rest in the grace of the world, and I am free. In the Satipatthana Sutra, the teachings on mindfulness, the instruction is to go to a quiet place, to sit comfortably upright, and relinquishing greed and aversion toward the world. Interesting beginning. Covetousness and grief, I think it is, toward the world. Placing mindfulness before one. So we sit here with an intention of letting go of the world. 40-some years ago, my teacher in India, Bhikkhu Rastrapal, said to me several times, "When I meditate, Robert, I don't think of you. I don't think of anybody." And then he laughed and said, "I don't think of anything." So let us come here into our posture of what we call meditation training, the cultivation of mind and heart. Coming here now, inhabiting the body. Something miraculous is happening. And we're so in the middle of it, we don't notice very much. It's spoken of in the meditation teachings as the first great insight. To realize that there is mind and there is matter. And they co-arise. So there is the body touching the chair, the floor, the cushion. And there is knowing it. There is life in the feet and the legs and knowing it. There is life in the hands and fingers and thumbs. And there is knowing it. There may be some aching or pain somewhere in the body. And there is knowing it. There's life in the face. And knowing it. There is the mysterious arising of breathing, of a breath, and knowing it. The breath arises with an expansion of the chest and abdomen, and knowing it. It becomes a slowing and a pause, and then an outgoing and a collapse of the expansion. Until it's gone. Thoughts may well arise. And there can be the knowing of it. It's also possible, of course, that the mind is in full worry mode or planning mode. It's going to figure something out. It's going to solve the problem. And then there's waking up in the middle of that flurry of thoughts, that furrowing of the brow, that tightness in the gut. And there's really nothing more to do. The awakening is the entirety. The delusion vanishes and there is presence. And so we live in this way of being aware, being our natural, true awareness. allowing the body to sit like a rock. In fact, there are mindfulness approaches that encourage us to notice the earth element, the heaviness, the density of the body. Notice its weightiness. It is heavy. The earth element. And if the mind is quiet, you might actually spend a period of meditation simply aware of the earth element. All these atoms and molecules borrowed for time to be a body. Or you could notice the air element, the movement of the chest and abdomen, the tingling, vibrating aliveness in the hands. Or we could notice the warmth and coolness. Where is the body cool right now? Where is it warm? Is the warmth or coolness pleasant or unpleasant? We could notice the water element, very obvious in the saliva in the mouth. And less obvious in the viscosity of the body. The body is not flowing. It's held together by life for a while. And these earth, air, fire, and water elements, am I this earthenness, this solidity, this heaviness? Is that myself? Am I this movement, this vibratory quality? Am I this coolness or warmth? Am I this fluidity? And it's not an intellectual pursuit. It's simply being present with the reality of earth, air, fire, and water. Each breath has its moment of birth beginning. Let's be present for it. Rest back in the beauty of this moment, in the simplicity of life breathing you. From the poem, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. Where the breath comes and goes like migrating geese, part of nature. There's no need to control the breath. Controlling it is always extra. There could be visits or domination, in a way, presence of the five hindrances. There could easily be wanting, desire, grasping of some kind. Or its opposite, in a way, pushing away, disliking this moment, aversion. Or there could be restlessness, agitation, worry. The mind could be in full bloom as thinking, as tension, as anxiety. Or there could be sloth and torpor, dullness. Hard to even stay awake. Or there could be doubt, wondering why I would be doing this. Or there could be emotional storms. With all of these, with all of this inner weather, the primary intervention is simply knowing what they are, that they are. And then planting the seed of presence with in-breathing and out-breathing. we are cultivating the capacity of being present, of being awake now. The mind is quite remarkable in its ability to conjure up a past, to conjure up a future, and then somehow delude awareness. So those memory worlds we inhabit, or those future imagination worlds that we inhabit, seem so real. And yet, in the twinkle of an eye, there's, oh right, that's a dream. That happened yesterday. That's a fantasy. And now, there's a body sitting here. It breathes. It has these sensations, pleasant or unpleasant. by stopping. By spending this moment allowing the conditions for mindfulness to occur. We become a force for peace in the world. We become that which we talk about. We remove from the world greed and hatred. We become the very peace we dream of. And so we appreciate the moment of breathing in and breathing out. And we have love for the parts of ourselves that are rebellious, angry and sad and reactive to the world. Our task is not to get rid of them. They all pass away like everything else, all by themselves. Our task is to be awake and to be here, to take refuge in the Buddha, in that which is knowing. Refuge in the Dharma and the way things really, actually, truly are. And refuge in the Sangha, supported by our friends of practice. May all beings everywhere share in the merits of our practice. There's a belief that we sometimes hold that somehow or another I'm being selfish. To let myself have great peace or ease. What about the crisis in the world? What about this? What about those poor people in Afghanistan facing the Taliban? What about the uprising in the Congo? What about Haiti? We were encouraged by the Buddha and all other great spiritual teachers to sometimes at least let go of all that and see what happens. There's a pattern, I forget where I read this, doesn't matter, it's ancient. There's a pattern of, for those people who awaken and then make a big change in the world, who really affect lives, the pattern is withdrawal and return. 40 days and 40 nights in the desert, which means a long time. So I encourage us to give ourselves time. My prayer for all of us, my wish, is, start with 5 minutes. Or here in the mornings, we're here, it's 45 minutes. But make a daily practice. Make a short daily practice that you'll actually do. And then my hope is that by a year from now, or maybe sooner, you'll discover that you really want an hour. At least an hour. You set your watch, not I'm going to sit here for an hour, but phew, I've got an hour before I have to leave home. There's a request for the poem. Jim, can you find that and put it in the chat? It's The Piece of Wild Things by Wendell Berry.
Yes, I've got it.
Great.
On my hard drive. I will put it up there.
Did I give you my whole list of poems? I think I did, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's on my hard drive.
All right. Good. So, dear friends, Jim is teaching this Saturday his warm-hearted Qigong and meditation and poetry. You can find that on the website, I imagine. You will also be receiving in your mail a very beautiful letter from PIMC. And it's actually an invitation. I'm getting it. I'm understanding it. It's an invitation to participate in something of extraordinary magnificence, which is to support a place where people wake up, where lives are transformed. A place of peacefulness, a place where we're starting to do our work around diversity, equity, and inclusion in a thorough way that we anticipate will take several years. Maybe the rest of our lives, I guess. So you can participate in that by making a contribution. if you want, if it would nourish you, giving to ourselves. I will be here 2 more days till Saturday morning when Jen and I pick up our RV and take off to the east. Oh, and I saw the orthopod yesterday, and there is in fact narrowing in the something or other, the fifth, between L4 and 5. And he thinks it would be a good idea to try to stick a needle in there and inject some steroids, so I'm going to do that. But it was good news and bad news. It's like the whole thing doesn't look terrible. And it could get a lot better. It could slowly get worse. But I'm going to try that approach after I get home. And there was one other thing I wanted to mention. Thomas Shaw came here yesterday, and we pored over this system for an hour. And what a brilliant young man. Jeez. And I think he fixed it. I think it's working this morning. I'm not touching any dials. But so admiring. I don't know, he's probably 30. Maybe not even that. Just brilliant young fellow. Amazing. So I wanted to bow to him. And you, hi. How lovely to see your faces and to be here with you. And I guess I can say this. Yeah. Some of you knew Mark Keene, who has ALS. And in the last several months at the center before COVID closed us, we purchased a very clunky ramp, and we got him into the living room, and then we moved the ramp and got him into the Dharma hall. He came a handful of time, maybe 2 handfuls of time. And I really hope, it's likely that the ramps will be done before he dies. But I visit him most Wednesdays at noon to 1 or so. And he can't speak anymore. He can write with his eyes. He can use the computer and a fancy device. And he very tediously, though he's got lots of time, writes me letters sometimes between our meetings. He used to be able to talk. Now he can't. And I go and I talk at him some, though we've talked about talking and whether it's necessary. And he helped me with my anxiety that I should be able to do something by pointing it out. And then generally what I do is I open my poetry collection and I read him poetry. And he likes that. I like that too. We sit outside these days. Quite a way to go. Tremendous lessons in, when I kiss him on the forehead, I often massage his head and face. And when I kiss him I have to be very careful. Don't leave any dampness, because dampness creates an itch. And when you can't scratch an itch, it's hell. So, may all beings share in the merits of our practice and be free from identification with these living forms. So, have you something you would like to share? I didn't complete a thought, which is that I am very grateful to Jim and the other teachers who will be continuing this morning gathering during my absence. Oh, and this is too surreal. There is a list at the City of Portland online that shows the numbers and names of the projects that are approaching permit release. And our permit is number, I forget, I think it's number 328 or something like that. And in line. And on Monday, they processed 30. So our permit will be released to pre-issuance probably by the time I get back. It is so utterly bizarre. Now, I just had a wash of sadness. It's not like we're waiting in a line to try to get past the Taliban to get into the airport. It's just a pain in the butt. So have you something you'd like to share?
Good morning, Robert. It's Joe.
Hello, Joe.
Two things. Nothing world shaking, but I first wanted to say I'm very grateful you have rekindled in me the love of poetry.
Ah.
I have always admired and respected writers that their use of language can take me and overwhelm me and fill me and communicate feelings and emotions and things just with their written word. But I'd kind of lost poetry along the way. And now I started on a snowy January retreat, but that's when it started. And I really love it now. That gift of language and communication, sometimes from centuries past, that still warms my heart and opens my mind.
I have an idea.
Uh-huh.
Will you write me a poem by the time I get home?
As all teachers, they ask the hard questions.
Yeah. Doesn't
You know what?
need to be long.
I will try, and I will email you whatever ends up on the page,
All right.
as clunky as it may be. But yes, I will try.
And I will respond as Yoda does. Do not try, only do.
Sky says that a lot to me.
Yeah, I see.
Also, yesterday, mid-meditation, my phone died. So about 8:30 or so, I opened my eyes and wondered why it was still so quiet.
Whoa.
Quite content and happy, but it was sort of a, oh my, it's awfully quiet. And I opened my eyes and realized my phone had died.
Great.
Yeah, it was. But also, that's why I didn't say goodbye to Sangha or anything. I was already gone. My phone took over and said, I'm out. Anyway, thank you for both.
Okay.
And yeah, thanks for the homework assignment. But who knows what will happen? I will do, not try.
All right.
Good morning, Sangha. It's Denise.
Hello, Denise.
Hello. Earlier this week and last week, I don't know, I've been having a lot of second arrow problems and just really not being able to feel present or just feeling everything that's going on. And one thing that's been really helping me, and I sent this story to Robert, but it's just, I really keep coming back to it in that when my mom was a late teen, her heart was broken. And she decided that she would show that guy who hurt her how much pain he had caused her, just grabbing onto that second arrow with as much power as she possibly could. And so she planned to save all her tears in a vial so that she could show him the pain that he had caused her. And so, of course, she was never able to fill the vial because of the ridiculousness and absurdity of trying to fill the vial of tears and hang on to the anger and the, pain. But I just keep coming back to that and realizing how much I am hanging onto that vial and trying to catch my tears. And so I don't know. I think that the absurdity of the story just makes it so clear that can be put down. So I'm looking for a piece of jewelry to remind, like a little vial that I can carry around my neck. So keep your eyes out.
We gave our dogs vaccinations last night. The parvo and a couple of things Jennifer brought home, and I have the little injection. You want me to save you one of those? Did she actually do that? Like, she actually had a little...
She legitimately had a little vial and tried to catch the tears. Yeah.
Wow.
and really did. And I've heard her tell this story to other kind of teen angst, when you're in that, just you can't let go. And so I feel like it's safe to share that story.
I may be remiss in my teaching at this point. In not honoring fully how much of the time the mind is out of control, and to really there's the practice in which the life is relatively calm. There's no huge crisis, and we're not worried about a lot. And then it can sometimes get very quiet, and there's just the breath, and there's all the wonderful things that happen there. But teenagers, for instance, or early in our lives or early in our practice, a lot of the time is spent just in tumult. And to then what has to become the object of meditation is the tumult. To be able to sit with and realize this is tumult, this is chaos, this is the out of control mind, and it feels awful. And it feels awful in this way, and I feel it in my body in this way. This is what it's like to be really anxious. I had where was that? Oh, I was waiting in line at Lowe's the other day for to purchase the blinds for the center to remodel it. Anyway, it was a little while. It wasn't long, 20 minutes or so. But there was a little impatience, very obvious to watch. And I was thinking of the people waiting in line outside the airport in Kabul, not knowing if they'd get in, maybe with their children in tow. And the degree of anxiety. I mean, I've been really anxious in my life, maybe not that anxious, but to be prepared in our lives, to practice in our lives, when the is it going to happen? Am I going to? Is it? And the I don't want to minimize in any way the teenage angst, because angst is angst, and does she like me? Do they like me? Is it? And all the gossip. Oh my goodness! I forget how old they were. They were middle school. I forget. I took my daughter. Yeah, my daughter and 5 friends camping for a night. And in the parking lot, before we set off on our little hike, I said, look, I really would like you not to be, and they were talking so badly about other people that weren't there. I said, I'd like to not hear any of that on this trip, okay? And oh yeah, okay, we'll do that. And then I was making dinner and they were 10 feet away and they were just being vicious about other girls. And I said something like, I think I banged on a pot and said, hey, wait, I can't take it. You're being so nasty. And they said, well, so what? and I said, well, what if they were talking about you like that? And they said together, they are. And they were probably right. But the pain in all that, my goodness, being a teenager. So anyway, all of this is to say, when the angst is up, what more can we do other than honor the angst and be loving and compassionate of ourselves? Because life is so damn hard. And the neurotic mind is so powerful. So thank you, Denise, for that prompt. I love that. Can I use that vial story without any names attached? If I can remember. This is a silence like a lovely warm night in the tropics, when the air is. Observing the mind. It can think about the craziest things, doesn't it? Well, I think it would be good for me to go soon. I have a trip across town to make. Thank you so much for being here. It's a nice party to have in the morning. Let's close in the traditional fashion. Thinking of Ruth Dennison right now saying that. Always sang off key. And didn't worry about it at all. So let's close with Bhavatu Sabe Mangalam. May all beings receive all blessings. And sadhu, 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 may it be so, or it is thus. Bhavatu Sabe Mangalam. Bhavatu Sabe Mangalam. Bhavatu Sabe Mangalam. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, dear friends. Have a lovely day.
Thank you. Be well.
Peace and long life.
Love you, love you.
Live long and
Love
prosper.
you.
Live long and prosper.
Love you. Love you. Have a good day.
Bye,
Goodbye, everyone.
Jane.
Stay well.
Bye-bye.
Did you notice that Had did something different this morning? He said, I didn't know this. We just learned yesterday from that how's it start? It's like peace and long life, and then live long and prosper. That's the proper greeting. It's like assalamu alaikum wa alaikum assalam. It's peace
Thank you,
and long
Denise.
life. Yes, Denise. We have been initiated into the secret teaching.
Yeah, we've been binging Star Trek, so
Oh,
I'm all in. Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah, we've actually like the original Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, like all of them. Yeah.
Wow.
So, all right. Have a good day.
That's way better than watching the news.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Peace and long life. Peace and long life. As long as it makes sense, as long as you're healthy.